The Crimson Republic. Chapter 1. The Seed of Refusal. It began not with a bang, but with a silent collective exhalation across a peninsula. It was a vow of four negations: no to men, no to marriage, no to childbirth, no to the consumption that fueled the engine of a society that deemed terminal. This ideology, a stark and potent seed, found its fertile ground in the collective unconscious. It dreamed itself an island, a geographic cessation, a place where the manifesto could become flesh and stone and law. Chapter 2. The First Tide. The island materialized in a sea of liquid mercury under a sky of permanent lavender twilight. Its beaches were a fine powder of crushed rose quartz. The first sign of its unique biology was a sanguine tide. The air grew thick and sweet, heavy with the scent of copper and night-blooming jasmine. The mercury sea calmed into a perfect mirror. Then the light shifted, deepening to a profound Venus red that stained everything. This was the visible breath of the island's synchronized cycle, a collective inner rhythm made manifest, the first shared experience of its inhabitants. Chapter 3. The Lexicon of Skin. Language was stripped away, a relic of the old world. A new grammar emerged, written in the lexicon of touch. A kiss was not a prelude, but a complete statement. A brush of lips against a shoulder blade could convey solace, history, or simple acknowledgement. A deeper, more searching kiss was a method of alignment, a braiding of two nervous systems into a resonant singularity. This was echo touch, a hand on the small of a back met with an arching pressure, a tongue tracing an ear, answered with a sigh. It was a wet, warm dialect that required no translation. Chapter 4. The Lapidary Embrace. The island was not a passive setting, but an active recorder. Its substance, a soft, porous coral, was believed to absorb the vibrations of every union. The explicit act of sex was a creative geological force. When bodies moved together in the crimson gloom, it was a process of inscription, a mouth tasting in the salt of a neck, a tongue tracing the inner line of a hip. These were chisel strokes, the slow, grinding rhythm of one body against another, the slick penetration of fingers, the clenching and crying out of climax. These pressures sculpted the world, leaving new, intricate lace-like patterns on the cave walls for fingertips to read. Chapter 5. The Economy of Touch. There were no markets, only a constant exchange of energy and care. The rejection of consumption was absolute. Food was what they grew in symbiotic orchards. Art was the patterns in the stone. Science was the study of their own biolibidinal field. Relationships were not owned or named, but existed as persistent, fluid patterns in the endless dance. A glance across a clearing could be a years-long conversation. A night of entangled limbs could be a lifetime's commitment, dissolved and reformed with the tide. It was a retro-introspective return to the body as the only valid currency. Chapter 6. The Pressure of Perfection. The harmony was not without its own unique tension. The sink was a soft, inescapable tyranny. The sanguine tide's red light could feel suffocating. The constant necessary touch could become a demand. The very perfection of the system, a closed loop of eros, and biology began to feel like a beautifully appointed prison. The thought arose, what is identity without isolation? What is a thought that is not first your own? The velvet weight of absolute agreement carried its own subtle terror. Chapter 7. The Silent Stone. A dissonance arrived. After a storm that agitated the Mercury Sea, a foreign object was deposited on the shore. A smooth obsidian obelisk, cool and unyielding. It reflected the crimson light, but offered no response to touch. It was impervious to kisses. Attempts at echo touch met only a profound, dead stillness. It was a void in the resonant field, a silence that was not peaceful, but empty. It was the ghost of the refused world, a monument to the concept of other. Chapter 8. The Schism in the Blood. The obelisk's presence catalyzed a Latin divergence. Some felt a pull toward the silence, a curiosity about the outside that felt like a betrayal. Others clung more fiercely to the warm, copper-scented intimacy, seeing the stone as a toxin. For the first time, a unified thought did not emerge. During the next sanguine tide, the sink was imperfect. A subtle stagger was felt in the collective rhythm. The island itself seemed to shudder, the new choral patterns growing in jagged, conflicted lines. Chapter 9. The Choice of Echoes. A decision was made not by vote, but by a shift in the collective field. The obelisk would not be destroyed, nor would it be worshipped. It would be absorbed. It was moved to the center of the island, not as a shrine, but as a monument to their own refusal. It became the silence against which their echoes defined themselves. The imperfect sink was accepted, not as a failure, but as the beginning of individuality within community. The system would not be perfect, but it would be adaptable. Chapter 10. The Breathing Manifesto. The Crimson Republic stabilized, not as a utopia, but as a sustainable dream. The sanguine tide still comes, the light still bleeds red, and the women still speak the language of skin. But now the harmony is a chosen one, a complex chord with spaces for silence. The obelisk stands, a dark tooth in the rose quartz landscape, a permanent reminder of what was refused and why. The island is a breathing manifesto, a space-age experiment in biology and will, where the blood of the many sustains the one, and the one finds herself in the warm, explicit, esoterically exotic embrace of the many. It is absurd, and it is alive.